So today we are going to build a mantle around this little electric fireplace. It just has a picture hanging above it. Try to make it look more custom, more built in, more like it actually belongs. And so we're going to lower it and we'll see how it turns out. Let's jump in and get started. Okay, so we're going to start by taking these off the wall, getting us a clean surface to work with. And we'll have to determine where we want to place this fireplace and mantle, all depending on centering it on the wall and the proper height to make it look the best, hopefully, as possible. Make it look like a real thing. So we find center on my wall. Like we should be 141 inches. Divide that by 2. About 70.5 inches to the center. Let's double check that. So this fireplace is not centered in the wall currently. I don't know, 71 inches of center on there. Yep, 71 inches. There's our center mark. I'm going to take this fireplace off the wall, which I'm sure it's, and that's the other thing when they wanted to redo this. We take this fireplace off the wall, there's going to be all kinds of damage behind there, the mounting bracket. Wall is going to be all ugly. So we have an idea to do something that'll hopefully make the fireplace look a little more custom and cover up all that damage done by this old unit that's left there. So unplug this. This plug's been double stick taped on there. If I can get it off. Oh, stuff will hold up an elephant if you need it to. There we go. Got it off. And no damage to the wall. Good stuff. Now I gotta figure out how this thing comes off the wall. Let's see if we can figure that out. Oh. Looks like there's screws that run through the face and into the wall. And there I can see them. So I'll just need to get a long screwdriver. And we can do that. We'll get a long screwdriver. Okay. Says the audio is still working. So we're going to have this trick. That's a long screwdriver extension. And both of them had the screw fall down inside there. I'll have to find a way to retrieve those out. See if that'll lift off there now. And it does. There we go. There's our mounting bracket. Figure out how to retrieve those screws out of there. Unfortunately, they are not magnetic screws. So I have the tool I know to get those out. Okay, so those screws fell down inside the fireplace and they're not magnetic, so I can't retrieve them with my magnetic screwdriver tip. But I have one of these, flexible and graboid on the end. Kevin Bacon would be proud. So I'm going to use that to grab the screws out of there. Ta-da! And ta-da! They were just back where I couldn't grab them with my fingers. Okay, so that's the fireplace off the wall. I'm going to set it aside. Okay. So this bracket's going to have to be used again when we remount the fireplace. We're going to shift everything over to the center of the wall again. As we have to shift clear over, here's the actual center of the wall. Should be plenty to cover any holes or deformities we have there. Set that aside. And we're also going to have to worry about this plug here. So I'm going to get my level so we can draw us a vertical line, and then we're going to figure out our height, our horizontal line, get the mantle, figure out where we want to mount that, still have access to that plug. It's going to be a trick. I have to figure that out. Oh, and I didn't realize I'm standing up where you can't even see me. So this mantle, we just got it off of Amazon. It's just a hollow box mantle. It's hollow on the inside. And not very expensive, so we'll put a link to that below where you can get one. We'll show you how it mounts, but what I'm going to do is hold up, just give you a general idea how that's going to sit there. And then I've got to figure out the height, and then we're going to put the fireplace below, and we got to work with that plug. And then we'll show you what we've got in mind to do, cover all the holes and to kind of give it that more sleek, finished look. So it is a 5-foot mantle, 60 inches. They come in a variety of sizes there on Amazon. You can get one that's different size if you need it. How high do I want to put that? I don't even know. Got to figure out, kind of making this all up as we go. But if we were to put that right there, that would just be leaving me access to the plug below. Isn't too bad. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to try to just go right above the plug. And I may replace that plug with a black one when we're all said and done. We'll see. So that's 17 inches. Well, let's just say we go up 18 inches. To the top of the fireplace. And then if we were to go a foot above the fireplace, that would put us about 46.5 inches. Not sure that's quite as high as I want to go. I think I want to go a little higher, but maybe not. Me, that doesn't seem high enough. So, let me grab my back panel boards. I'll show you what we're doing on those. So what we're going to put on the wall are these sound panels, which you can get off Amazon too. We'll put a link to that below as well. And they will go on the wall behind the fireplace. Give it a nice, sleek, modern, finished look. I got to figure out, since I'm making it up as I go, just how high I want to go. And these are about 23-inch panels. And let's see, that mark I made was actually to the bottom of my mantle, so that might be about where I want to go. 23-inch panels, that's going to give me 46 inches off the floor. We'll figure this out. Gonna make for some very boring editing there for you, Kenny. Which I'm sorry for, but I gotta figure all this out. This is all brand new stuff to me. So what I've done is I've found the center of the wall. I marked it, and then I am going to take out the baseboards because I think it'll look a little more structural to run these panels all the way to the carpet. And so the baseboard will now butt in on each side. So I've gone ahead and just marked that where I need to cut it on each side. And I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So I just removed that baseboard. And so I'm going to have to remove this plug And I'm going to want to go get a black one to replace it with. I'm going to pull that out of the wall so we can start setting these panels. We'll have to notch around that plug. Paint, just holding that in there a little bit. Put that out. Now we'll be able to get our measurements cut around for that box. Nice, good tight fit. So just put that over the plug that's sticking out, like so. And then this one, I took one of the panels and I made it equal, so I cut it off right down so it's flush, just like the factory finished pieces they send out. That because I wanted it a little bigger than just 2 panels wide. It was about 8 inches on that last one. So there you go. That's the first row. Put another row on, and then we'll be able to mount the mantle on top of that. Now, what I've done here is I've found the studs. And so I'm going to run some black screws just to hold that on. Well, it should hold that on pretty good. So I'm going to grab my drill real quick. We'll do that. Make sure everything's all nice and level. Loving it. So we got a stud right there. So by running a black screw into this black felt that's on the back of these cool sound panels, should be pretty darn invisible. So these panels come with these little end pieces that trim out the edges. So you got one for one end, and then you see the other notches the other way, finish out the other end. But I didn't want to, the layout didn't work just quite right. So I ended up using an extra couple of panels, cutting it down to get kind of a half panel on the end, which finished out exactly like this on the end, but just with, I'll show you this one here. I just cut it so that it finishes out the same and it gives me the same look, finishes out the same way. Now this piece on the end, so it doesn't have enough where to grab a screw very well, so I'm going to put just a little bit of glue on that one just to hold it into place. And so now as we start the next row, again, this end piece we'll just glue on and maybe a little finish nail or something. Right there you can see I've got my magnetic stud finder just to know right where my stud is. And they were kind enough to send some nice black screws with these sound panels. Worked so nice. After I spent 10 minutes digging in my truck to find some black screws, because I knew I had some, I found out they sent me them, so I didn't even need to do that. And then we'll have the next panel be right there. And I'll add some more screws in too after I get these set. And then on the end here, this custom one I did again, let's put that there. Finish off the end. All the same. And like I said, I'll put some more screws in there when I try to swap out this black plug too. But I'm going to go ahead and set the mantle now so we can kind of get the full look. Now they sent a cleat for this mantle. Not the straightest one, but I'm going to use it anyway. It's going to work okay. I'm going to go ahead and I found the stud, so I'm going to drill a hole here for the screw. And we'll go ahead and I think I can pull some of the twist out of this board. That caught a stud really good there. I have a line that I drew across with I set the mantle on there and drew a line and made sure it was nice and level. And then I've already know where my studs are because of my other screws, which they're so invisible, they're hard for me to find. Somewhere in there is a screw right there. Now, this is kind of where the twist is, but I think I can pull that out when I put in the next screw into the stud, which will be fine. I can feel the screw easier than I can see it right there. There, now that's pretty darn tough. And I'm going to go ahead and with these, the mantle came pre-drilled with screws along the top, and they came with some screws, even a little handy screwdriver, but I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use my drill. There's shorter screws for going down into that cleat, which is going to hold the mantle up. So let's go ahead and put that on there. And there's just one screw to hold it to get the look. So there's the mantle and the sound panels just put on. Pretty simple, very straightforward, very simple. Now I'm just going to go ahead and mount that electric fireplace right back on top of that. It was just mounted over the wall. And we'll get that mounted on and see a little before and after. So I got kind of lucky on this one because I moved everything to center on the wall where it wasn't before. I got lucky in that there is a stud dead center on the wall. And so now when I mount the bar for the fireplace, it comes pre-drilled with holes, and now they're going to line up perfectly with the studs. A little bit of a coincidence. That doesn't happen all the time. But now I don't have to use any kind of molly bolts or drill new holes through this metal. Got a little lucky there. I'm going to go ahead and mount this bar. I've got my lines drawn down. It ended up being, for this bar, just again, coincidence, exactly 16 inches down from the mantle. That's not where the fireplace is going to end up. It's going to be taller. This bar is quite a bit down from the top of the fireplace. Oh, that's going to be so nice. And like I said, I marked right where it is. I'd probably triple check it with a level too. And we love it. Right on my marks, right on the studs, right on the level. Perfect. Now, we'll go ahead and set this fireplace back on there. And while we got to still switch out the black plug, this is going to give us pretty close to the finished effect. I think that's it right there. Well, let's take a look at that. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. And we'll take a look and see how the kind of the finished look. Not quite finished, but close enough. So, and I'll clean up my mess, but when you've got your reading chair there and your desk, fireplace with a nice mantle, very simple, very cost-effective way to dress it up. We'll hang, I don't know if they want to hang the same picture back over the wall or a different one. We'll let the designers figure that out, what they want above there. So, you see I popped the breaker. My power tester shows no light, so we have no power. So all good and safe. Now we're going to take off this white plug. So I got the old plug off. It had those kind of stabs in the back. And supposed to be a way to release those, but I couldn't get it with the little finishing nail I had. I just snipped them off and then restripped the wires here. This newer, nicer plug, better quality, has a place where you can, instead of wrapping it around the screw like you usually do, it just pushes into the side and has a clamp that grabs it. And our ground wire up first. That's always good protocol. And then black on gold and then white on silver. Very nice. Now let's feed that back into the box. So one of the things, since we built the wall out with the soundboard, that's over an inch thick, or approximately an inch thick. These screws are no longer long enough that come from the factory to reach the box. But I saved some longer screws from a light fixture that we replaced a while back. I always have an extra screw bucket with all the odds and ends screws, and those should be long enough and work just right to replace those out of there. I'll take out the short screws and replace it with the longer screw. These plugs come with a little washer on the inside, and that's just to keep you from losing the screw. We'll put it on there for fun. Line those screws up. Come on. Close enough to that fireplace. I can't get a straight shot with the drill, so I'm going to put on my extension. Put on our black cover. Okay. Now there's our black plug replaced. Let's reroute this cord to make. I'm going to plug that cord in. We're going to route it so that it becomes pretty much invisible the way. There's the fireplace all done, cleaned up. Just set the picture back on the mantle for now. I'm not doing either another picture or a mirror or something above it. But they're a nice contrast for before and after, which I'll show you now. Again, we'll have a link to where you can get this mantle, you can get these sound panels. Very inexpensive, little easy way to just add a little bit of upscale and 80-20 principle. Get 80% of the look for 20% of the cost.